H.
All right, John Kassari, San Diego native, playing green-white nudes. 4 copies of Call the Conclave main.
Ooh.
Doesn't really look like we're doing any sort of populating. Just
Just 2 mana, 3/3.
yeah, just watch Wolf. It's fine. Whatever.
Can't hurt.
Yep.
And I have, on the left here, I have a 4-color ramp deck. I've got 2 copies of Angel Serenity, 4 Absence Pilgrim, a couple Borderland Rangers, a couple Centaur Healers, a couple Hunt Master of the Fells. Is it Static Caster, but no Nightshade Peddlers. 3 Restoration Angels, 4 Thragtusk, 3 copies of Bonfire, 4 Farseeks, 3 Sphinxless Revelations, and a Collective Blessing.
So he's missing black mana?
Yeah, just black manas.
So Ink Treader ramp.
Yes, the Nephilim. The appropriate Nephilim. Absolutely. I mean, cards all over the place, and this is kind of what this format, some people choose to do in this format. It is basically a bunch of powerful cards and hope the mana works.
Yeah.
That's what this is. And I mean, it's what you're allowed to do in this format.
Yep.
If you draw your mana, you can win. Andrew Strout proved that very well last weekend when he had a deck very similar to something like this, and he drew his mana all tournament long except for the last round.
Yep. So you see Kassari get on the board here with a Precinct Captain, and Nicolo with an awesome answer, Garrick Relentless, which I assume we're going to be using to shoot down.
Garrick Relentless is hungry, and Garrick is going to flip into Garrick the Fail Cursed. We're going to see some token activations here. We might even see Garrick's ultimate. So that was great, fantastic turn 3.
Yeah, I mean, Sean is in and this is his 3rd land drop here. To say a ton of trouble would be an understatement.
No, I mean, if you want to look on the bright side of things, Knight of Glory does have protection from black. The tokens that Garrick the Veil Curse does make are Black Wolf tokens, so that means Black Worm tokens. So that is something to, if you want to keep it on a positive front.
Yeah, sure. If Nicolo doesn't draw any more spells for the rest of the game,
yes.
Nothing in his hand.
Yeah, if he draws no spells, which he's tapping out of the cast 1, looks probably going to be Thragtusk.
Sure.
So there's a spell.
Yeah, that counts.
Yes. 5 life doesn't hurt. 5/3 in play as well. So, John, I wouldn't recommend drawing lands if I were you.
Yeah. And we have drawn what does not appear to be a land.
Now, I know, Patrick, you have his deck list in front of you. I mean, any spice other than that Call of the Conclave? I'm sure there's probably a Selesnya Charm or 2 hanging out. Or
he's got 4 Selesnya Charms made. He has 1 Sublime Angel, 2 Silver Hearts. Other than that, it's like besides the Call of Conclave, that's the biggest change in this list from what we've seen the green-white human deck look like before. 2 copies of his own Garrick Relentless. I mean, there's some either abnormal cards or abnormal numbers, certainly, but it's not. I mean, this is pretty stock. Outside of the 4 Call of Conclaves, which is definitely a new feature.
Sure. And in that slot, you typically find a card like Mare of Averbrook, but he's just decided to just go a little bit bigger with a 2 mana 3/3, and I mean, give the beatdowns. So,
sure.
That's fine. Beatdowns are good.
I don't mind. I'm always in the market. He also has a Drastani and 2 Rootborn defenses in his sideboard, so he has a little bit of that.
Okay.
That populate action. And he just passes the turn now with his 2 mana up.
Can't be feeling great.
No, I mean, no.
Yeah.
No way to feel good about this one.
As Nicolo just draws a card, gonna make another token here.
Sure.
Little Death Touch Wolf. And we will get a wolf out here for you.
Come with the tokens on the ready.
Yeah, see a Bonfire of the Damned in Nicolo's hand. And, this is just part of this format. And some people like this about Standard, some people hate it about Standard. Some people like that you can just put, all these awesome cards in a deck, 24 lands, 4 Farseeks, and it all just works out. Your duels and your M12 or M13 lands and, a couple colorless lands and just go for broke. But, I mean, there's obviously some risk with it. You're not seeing it this particular game, as everything's kind of working in Nicolo's favor, but maybe, in the next game, or maybe game 3, if we make it that far, things kind of backfire on him.
I mean, you just mulligan more, right?
Yeah.
And because there's so much gas available to you in all the colors, the power level of your deck doesn't necessarily appreciably go up if you're adding all these new cards. Some of them might be metagame specific, but just you're not adding that much in terms of raw power, right?
Sure.
You're getting some utility, maybe some specific metagame stuff, but certainly looks good against an opponent with a turn 7 Knight of Glory and 2 lands and a handful of 2/2 creatures.
Yeah, not so bad. As you see, like you see a Rancor, you see a couple Celestial Charms over there. You know, you see cards that John just can't get out of his hand really right now, or there's not the right moment to get out of his hand. And you know, when an aggressive deck like this one stumbles, especially one that doesn't have a lot of reach, it's easy to just get run over here, and that's basically what's taking place.
I also think that the human deck, part of the reason that it's not one of a deck that I would play in a tournament, I think it's actually a little more stumble oriented than most because the mana is so sensitive.
Sure.
The mana is actually not very good for a 2-color deck.
Yeah, it's surprisingly so.
All right, so you're going to see Rancor here on Night of Glory, and it looks like John's announcing an Exalted trigger, so we have a 5/2 coming in. I'm assuming we're attacking Garrick here. Yeah, there's a confirmation.
That's got to go. See the Beast jump in front. Trample will talk it down to 1. Rancor will come back to him. We'll see if he has a Champion of the Parish. All right, he does.
There it is.
A bit of an uphill climb here. But doing what he can.
Yeah, sure.
See Garrick making another Wolf token here. So a whole bunch of Wolves here for Nicolo. He's going to slide him into the field to play for you guys and give the beatdowns with his 1/1s.
It's going to knock John down to 16, it looks like.
Play Hinterland Harbor. And we're going to see a Borderland Ranger. So they're your mana fixing elements. In this deck, of course, it does have mana fixing elements. You know, it has Borderland Ranger, it does have Farseek. So I mean, it's not like it's impossible for him to get the engines online or anything, but and Avacyn's Pilgrim too. But I mean, there are definitely draws that happen, as you said. Mulligans are going to take place a little bit more just because the mana is just so all over the place.
Yep.
And when you have a deck that has Sphinx's Revelation and Huntmaster of the Fells, you're bound to mulligan on occasion.
Yes.
That's going to happen. So we see John draws another non-land spell. Now, how many lands is John running?
22.
Okay, just 22. So I feel like that's around the number that human decks run nowadays. In between 22 and 23. It's not really a 24-land deck, as you see the Rancor again from John. He just does pass back. Really hard to justify playing more than that.
Yeah.
This isn't a deck that does really well when it floods.
Although he's going up all the way up to 5 mana. I mean, he's got Wolfer's Silverheart in his deck.
Okay. It's a little bit surprising to see that one in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine not getting either flooded or short on mana, right? Sure. You need to like go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then no more mana for the rest of the game. Especially because your deck isn't particularly powerful.
So now we see a Thragtusk, and we're going to see a concession here from John. So Nicolo up a game with his 4-color Good Stuff deck.
Yep.
And I mean, this is going to be your pretty classic case of just, you know, can John's, you know, deck that has a lot of synergy, you know, Champion of the Parish, Silverblade Paladin, more synergistic deck, be able to beat just this deck that just has a million good cards and, you know, relatively poor mana, who's going to come out on top? So far, I mean, that game was very one-sided, not only because of John's mana problems, but just because of Nicolo's card quality.
Right, yeah. And, you know, it's, you know, like I said, it's sort of my critique of the Black-Red Zombies deck, too. It's when you're trying to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, especially since, I mean, he's trying to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Precinct Captain and Wolfir Silverheart in the mix. So, like, the mana's already sort of tenuous, right?
Sure.
It seems very hard to land in the right spot of the amount of mana that you draw. Just pretty challenging. Onto the sideboard here, we have a couple copies of Nevermore, Oblivion Ring, Loxodon Smiter, the Tristani, Rootborn Defenses, Igera Primal Hunter, Array of Revelation, and 2 Rest in Peace. The problem is that, you know, if I'm in John's seat, he has a lot of cards here that you can broadly say are devoted to control decks, right?
Yes.
Like Nevermore, Oblivion Ring, Smiter, Rootborn Defenses. You can all argue these cards are good against control decks, but he can't even be totally positive about what Nicolo's deck is up to. Like, is Bonfire in that deck? You don't know. I mean, it could or could not be, right?
Yeah, he didn't see it that game.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, you can imagine it being there or not being there. Is Supreme Burke in the deck? Like, I don't know. Like, it could be or it could not be. You know,
I'd like to think it's not.
Right.
But you don't know.
You don't know. Again, you don't know. And so it's these cards. You know, it's challenging to know exactly what you need to sideboard in, or even what are you going to name with Nevermore? You know, you don't have enough information to confidently. Certainly, you can say like Thragtusk or whatever, and that's fine.
Sure.
But I think that he wants to be naming cards other than that, because this deck's actually reasonably well suited to handle Thragtusk, it's the sweepers that are the bigger concern. And, you know, he's not working with complete information about whether or not he should be signing more of these cards in, what he should be naming. You know, I would be in a very uncomfortable position if I'm John, because it's just hard to know what you're supposed to be doing with these, you know, in quotes, anti-control cards in your sideboard.
It's like throwing darts at a dartboard, honestly.
Yeah,
With just a bunch of magic cards on them and hoping you hit the right one if you boards in Nevermore. It's honestly that difficult. And the thing about Nevermore, too, is, you know, you can't afford to miss.
Yeah,
if you're going to invest your turn in doing that and you miss, it's a complete disaster.
Right.
Taking a look at Nicolo's sideboard being up a game here, you would think that his aggro matchup is already pretty good, and it's only going to be getting better because there are 4 copies of Rock's Faithmender.
Oh.
Which is going to be very difficult for John to beat if that's able to get online. You know, be it turn 4, but he's capable of playing it on turn 3 because of Absence, Pilgrim, and Farseek. So 4 copies of that. You see a copy of Clone here. Not entirely sure that would come in, but he's got a lot of good cards to clone, so it wouldn't surprise me too much. And the rest of the cards are just either control, cards that are good against control, like Jace Memory Adept, Negate, Triumph of Ferocity, or cards that are good against graveyard decks. He has 3 copies of Rest in Peace. And then there's just the Miser's Ray of Revelation here, too. So.
Sure. I think that the Faithmender, like, certainly it's good against John here, but it's not like it is against zombies, where, you know, the zombie player is like, oh. It's not like it is against mono red, where the mono red player is like, all right, I guess I just pack up my cards now.
Yeah, I'm just dead.
Particularly with the one Sublime Archangel in the deck, but even just cards like Rancor and Wolfir Silverheart, it's possible for John to overpower a Rock's Faithmender in a way that some of the other aggressive decks just can't.
Yes.
You know, so it's good here, but it's not as spectacular as it is against like zombies or mono red.
Part of the appeal, as we do see Nicolo taking a mulligan here, and John's going to keep his 7. Part of the appeal of the green-white aggro deck that I found when I was testing it, you know, about a month or 2 ago, is that it's a deck that does attack for a lot of damage in one turn. You know, between, you know, Silverblade Paladin with Rancor, Sublime, Archangel, you find Wolfir Silverheart in this deck. It's a deck that can attack for a boatload of damage in one turn.
I'll tell you what, if I was building, you know, again, not an expert on the green-white deck, I would be playing a lot of Sublime Archangels, I'll tell you that much. I would probably be away from this Wolfir Silverheart thing and just trying to win with Sublime Angel, because that card's just insane in decks like this. Gets you out of spots that really no other card can.
Yep.
And is an impressive threat on its own, you know?
Yeah, and and it does something that, you know, none of the other cards do in green-white, and you'll take a look at Nicolo's deck list, it's something that he's soft to. It flies.
Yes.
And that's a big deal.
And it makes your Rancor is way more insane.
Yeah. It flying is just a big deal, because taking a look at this deck list, you find 3 copies of Restoration Angel, and that's it as far as flying is concerned in Nicolo's deck. So it being a flying threat is just a huge deal. Not to mention, obviously, it's huge and, you know, plays favor with Rancor, but I think there's some merit to that with that card. Whereas Wolfir Silverheart just kind of, you know, runs in, bumps uglies with, you know, these Thragtusk and these other cards here. So
yeah, Wolfir definitely, Silverheart definitely gives you some legs against Bonfire, so that might be a reason to have him in the deck. But Sublime Archangel to me is one of the criminally underplayed cards of the format. As you see, Nicolo here appears to go to 4 cards.
It's either 5 or 4. He's going down to 4. Okay. And this is something that obviously that you harped on, not just in this match, but prior matches as well, is, you know, that cost of playing 4 colors, it's not free.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what his hands were looking. We didn't get a good look at his hands, but this deck, like your Birthing Pod deck that I was birding yesterday in the hotel room, this deck can get hands of lands and spells that are not functional, which is, you know, just increases your mulligan count quite a bit.
It's borderline unacceptable. You know, if you get like 3 lands, 4 spells, you're just like, I can't cast any of them mulligan. Yeah. That's like unacceptable,
right,
basically.
Yeah, something went wrong in the deck construction process if you're regularly drawing up hands like that.
Yeah.
Mr. Gavney Township, Mountain, you know, Wall of Roots, is it Staticaster, Restoration Angel?
Court of Calling.
Court of Calling.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Yeah, and looking at Nicolo's deck list here, you know, again, we've already seen Cavern of Souls kind of come back to bite some people earlier today. There's 3 copies of those, and his creature types are a little bit all over the place. There's also 2 copies of Kessig Wolfrun in his main deck as well. So, you know, his mana base is a little bit all over the place, and this is just an area where, you know, this deck, you have to draw the right mana to be able to cast your spells, as we do see just a Temple Garden here from John. So we are underway. Temple Garden there from Nicolo. No 2-drop.
Wow.
All right.
I don't know.
Nicolo just passes back. What do we keep on John's side? He has to have a play here, I would think.
He has Nevermore, and it's what to name.
What to name is correct. And we'll get confirmation for you guys in just a moment on what is named with Nevermore. I'm going to guess Thragtusk.
Yeah, Thragtusk seems like a pretty solid name here. You know, the game's going to be on the slower side because John still has nothing on the board. And, you know, he knows that there's a bunch of copies of it in his deck. Yeah, he named Thragtusk.
Now we're going to see Borderland Ranger. It's going to, I mean, this card does a fantastic job of undoing a mulligan.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is a mulligan of 4. It sure doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, he has he has a cavern, which is going to provide some amount of mana fixing. He can use this Borderland Ranger to go fill out another color. I mean, he's on 4 cards. It's still a bad spot, but he's going to be able to play whatever he draws probably going forward.
Yeah. Making the best out of what looks to be a pretty poor situation.
So, John draws for his turn. And Garrick Relentless, and I assume we're just shooting down this Borderland Ranger.
Yeah. He's already starting to flip it over. Take care of that. Put the counter on that guy. Pass it on back. Nicolo's going to draw his card. You see him draw a Thragtusk. All right. Good name with the Nevermore there by John. You see his Ecstatic Caster in Nicolo's hand. And we will get confirmation on what Cavern is naming from Nicola. I mean, being human here is a pretty big deal, and it is human, so he can actually cast a Static Caster off the Cavern in the island there. And now we are going to see a Wolf here, Silverheart, attempt to Soul Bond. Nicola has other ideas.
Static Caster.
So Silverheart looming here in a big way.
Yes.
You see a Forest here.
Is that a Revelation in his hand?
There is a Revelation in his hand, yes,
but he
sir.
cannot cast it.
That is correct.
Okay.
Can't cast all of his spells just yet.
Ooh, we just drew another Silverheart.
It looks like we're going to see Silverblade Paladin here. An attempt at a pair.
It's a combo.
It is a combo. This works well with the combo, too.
Is this lethal? This is just lethal, right? Is this a 20 spot?
This is currently a 20 spot. There will be blocking.
All right, well, here comes 20. Silverheart paired becomes an 8/8 ranker, makes it a 10/8, and then the double strike makes it a 20 ball.
Yep.
So
20 minus 3, 17.
It's a combo deck.
Yeah. You take 17, bro. He's going to make a token, pass it back, and scoop him right up.
All right.
So, I mean, it's a little bit closer than I thought it would be for a Mold of 4. He had 5 lands and playing cast some spells, but John able to take that one down. Now, truthfully, moving forward into this game 3, John is going to need a hand that interacts earlier into the game, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, certainly. If Nicolo keeps 7, there's no way John can keep whatever that hand was that he kept that game.
Yeah.
You know? I think he was pretty fortunate in that game that Nicolo was on 4 cards. Obviously, that's a fortunate situation no matter what.
Yeah.
But given that his curve was land go, land Nevermore, land Garrick Relentless, that's not going to get it done against, you know, any of Nicolo's reasonably good hands.
Agreed. Now, if you're John, and this is something that's happened to me in Tournament Magic before, you're in what's probably a bad matchup, okay?
Yeah.
You lose the die roll.
Happens to me. All right, so far.
Okay.
With you so far.
Okay, you lose the die roll. You
Still
get
with
crushed
you.
game 1.
Still with you.
All right, you're in game 2.
Yep.
And you're thinking, all right, I'm on to play game 2.
Yep.
And then your opponent moves to 4. And you're just like, I want you to mull in game 3 when you're on the play.
Oh, space it out a little bit.
Yeah, space it out. You know, it's like I feel like I'm a favorite to win. Like I can steal a game when I'm on the play.
Yeah.
And when they play game 2. And let's say I'm a lock to win game 2. It's like I'd really like it for you to mulligan game 3 when you're on the play. When I'm not, when I would like to be. Yeah. But it's like, you know, he mulls the 4 in game 2. It's like the game that maybe John is likely to win anyway because he's on the play. And then game 3, you know, maybe Nicola just looks it over and just keep.
Right.
Immediately. Yeah. And maybe that's a game he would lose. Nicola would lose if he was on the draw.
And then in your back of your mind, you're like, yeah, that guy got so lucky against me because he mulled the 4. But in the second game, where I'm already like kind of likely to win, if he mulled the 4 in game 3, I would have won. So he got really lucky.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute, your opponent molded 4 in one of the games. Like you actually got fairly fortunate for the match to be as close as it was. But
yes.
I do understand the mentality of. Yeah. Just trying to find the spot where you can feel like you got unlucky. Try to identify the place and then grasp onto it for dear life.
There have been multiple times where I'm just like, I don't want you to mulligan this game. Yeah. I want you to mulligan this third game.
Save it.
Yeah. Anytime but this one, like you're looking at your 7, in game 2, and you're like, oh, this hand's so good, I could beat anything from his deck. And he's like, mull. And they're just like, oh, man, I wasted my good draw.
Just to clarify, Cedric and I are both aware that these are just, statistically, they're just independent events and they're not associated, and it's not.
Of course.
But from a psychological,
Yeah.
from a narrative standpoint,
Yeah.
I agree with you entirely. I know
That's
exactly
all.
what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
I just have to look into things, that's all.
Right.
It's completely random.
It sure doesn't feel that way, though.
It really doesn't.
It sure doesn't
never
feel that
has,
way.
it never will. Gotta get new sleeves after I lose. It's just not, it's bad draws. What am I supposed to do? Give me a new pair of penguin sleeves.
Yeah, after I got my second loss at GP Denver, I was like, maybe it's just time to go fly standby.
Yeah.
Time to get out of here.
I got feeling it.
I could feel the room turning against
Yeah.
me.
Maybe a quick little re-sleeve.
Yeah, so many plucked fire blasts day 1 and so many plucked mountains on day 2, you know?
Oh. No one said it would be easy.
No, that's certainly no one did.
Yeah, you start considering boarding on a land.
Yeah.
Because you're drawing so many.
Yeah.
So we have both players taking a look at their opening 7. John's going to keep, Nicolo's going to keep, and we're off. Temple Garden from Nicolo.
All right, John needs a real hand this game.
Champion, nothing. All right, I see a precinct captain over there. Absence Pilgrim into Hollowed Fountain. All right.
And John's just already in a world of trouble. I mean, it doesn't seem that way, but
Yeah.
Nicolo has any of his premium threats. Call of the Conclave.
Limited All-Star that
Yeah.
we'll bring on the screen for you guys. Now, as you said, Patrick, not a lot of populate in this deck. Just Tristani's in the sideboard. But this is, I remember when Watchwolf was released.
Watch
That was
Wolf got it done.
That was a big deal back in the day, as Call of Conclave makes a 3/3 Centaur token.
Ooh. Bow, 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 bow. There's the Faith Mender.
The old fun police, Rock's Faith Mender.
Pump the brakes, 'cause you aren't going anywhere.
Yeah. Rock's Faith Mender, the 1/5 that could. It's going to need to be a Rancor or a Celestia Charm right now for John to get through this monster. I can even see what you mean right now. I mean, he does have his mana online right now, but it just doesn't feel that great, you know?
Yeah.
You see a precinct captain here. We're going to see an Avacyn's
I think if you're
Pilgrim.
John, I think this is a subtle mistake, but I think if you're John there, you have to attack because there's basically no way Nicolo blocks. Like, yeah, if he calls you on it, he picks up 1 life, but that's or 2 rather.
Yeah, 2 life.
Double up
Yeah.
rather. Yeah, but I think the odds that he blocks there are so low that you have to try to pick up your spot. And there's a 10 ball.
Yeah,
right?
plus 10 now. Yeah, so he may have been able to sneak in 3 points of damage.
Yeah, I just don't think there's any way Nicolo blocks there if your first action on the turn is to attack.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So now I think that he's basically Sublime Archangel or bust. I feel like that's the only card that gives John enough power to get out of
He's
this.
got a little bit of fight in him.
Silverheart's not bad.
Silverheart.
Silverheart's not bad.
You can pair up with the first striker. You pair up with the 3/3. He's gonna pair up with the first striker, making blocking difficult. So he's got some fight in him, and 8/8 nothing to ignore as well. So there is some fight here.
Although, unfortunately for John, Nicolo has a lot of life to play with.
That's true, with potentially more coming. And we see the 6 come through. Nicolo takes the damage, so a 1/1 soldier comes into play as well.
What are Nicolo's just clean, straight up answers to Silverheart?
Outside of a big bonfire,
A huge.
a big bonfire. He doesn't even have red mana right now, but he's probably gonna be searching for it. There it is. There really isn't one, oddly enough. He has Static Caster in his deck, but he doesn't have Nightshade Peddler, so he doesn't have the combo. And looking at his sideboard, doesn't it clone to be able to battle another one?
Clone would not be bad here.
That's about it. So maybe that Wolf or Silver is kind of acting like it's an enchantment. Maybe it shouldn't come across the red zone.
Well, yeah, I guess you're happy. It depends what's in John's hand, right? Like he can't lose the Silverheart here, even if Nicolo's like, yeah, block with Thrag Tusk, Borderland Ranger, and my Pilgrim. It's a 3-for-1 or whatever, but that Silverheart's too important.
Let's see what he draws. Draws an Avacyn's Pilgrim. We've seen Oblivion Ring being shifted forward too. All right, little bit of fight here. And we've seen Oblivion Ring. It's going to take care of the old 1/5 Faith Mender.
Yep.
So 5, 6, 7, 8. So I mean, we could see an attack with all the creatures this turn, maybe.
It seems super risky, right? Because he can actually trade off with the. He can trade. Nicolo can trade with the Silverheart, right? If he blocks with everything.
Yes. He would have to put. He'd have to put all in front of the Silverheart, which is an 8/8. As you do see, you see them coming across. So, and he would lose everything. He'd of course be left with a beast token.
Yes.
But then Precinct Captain, and the little dorks that John has left, they're not horribly relevant then.
I don't think he has a choice.
And so we are just going to see a chump block here of the Silverheart, really valuing that Thrag Tusk. Don't have a good look of what's in Nicola's hand.
Yeah, I can't get the details of Nicolo's hand, but unless something's really specific, I would have tried to get that Silverheart off the table. Because the board's very easy to manage once that Silverheart's not in play anymore.
I agree.
Especially when you have bonfires in your deck, like you have to give yourself, even if you have to give yourself a chance to draw that thing too.
So let's see what Nicola is going to do here. It looks like I believe there is at least one Huntmaster there. I'm not quite sure with the other card. I think that looks like a Sphinx's Revelation to me. You see him kind of slide over the mana. Blue, white. That's going to be a Sphinx's Revelation for 4. He's going to move up to 18. He's going to draw 4 new ones. Temple Garden comes into play. And I think if you're John, you're just drawing. You untap, you draw, and I think you just get in there with everybody.
just attack.
Yeah, depending on what's in his hand. Don't know if he has Sublime Archangel or if he draws a rank or whatever, but this feels like a good spot to just get it on in. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is what would get through if Thragtusk jumps in front of the old Silverheart.
And this is the upside of playing a deck like Green White Humans instead of, say, Zombies or Mono Red. Like we mentioned before, I mean, if Zombies or Mono Red, if you go Faithbender and a Thragtusk, it's over.
Yeah, the game is over.
The Green White deck actually has enough power between Sublime Archangel and Silverheart to weather the storm of that kind of life game.
Yeah.
It's a little more susceptible to sweepers, a little slower, mana's a little worse, there's some checkboxes off, but there's not a beatdown deck in the format that could have won this game, realistically, except for the Green White Human decks or something along those lines.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Certainly the red beatdown decks would not have a shot. Would not have had a shot in this game.
Would have conceded a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oftentimes that deck concedes to Rock's Faithbender.
Or can't beat it.
And so now we are going to see this right here. So a bunch of damage, going to get some tokens. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It looks like it's going to knock Nicola down to 3. Hopefully Nicola remembers the trigger on his Thragtusk so he makes sure he gets his beast token. And there it is. But I mean, he's
Bonfire's still a real draw here.
Bonfire's a very real draw here. Thragtusk is the card drawn. So we see Nicola play a Forest. And he does have a lot of mana here. I mean, he has 9 mana, so they're going to see a Thragtusk. And I'm white-green, I can't counter that. So he's going to move up to 8. Now we're going to see a Huntmaster. We're going to push him up to 10. And there's a Bonfire in his hand.
Yep.
There's a Bonfire, there's a Garruk Relentless, and another Huntmaster that fell. So put a bunch of guys out there. Hopefully, hopefully stabilize with these guys and some chump blocking and stuff. But again, John's guys are, because of Silverheart and because those are Centaurs, those are pretty big creatures.
I mean, he can't block. I do not believe that Nicolo can block in such a way to kill the Silverheart and survive.
Yeah.
So we're still, I mean, oh boy.
Big draw there. Rancor there on the Precinct Captain. Big draw.
If Nicolo can survive this turn, actually Bonfire is still... Oh, there's
face shield for green.
Okay, so this is just lethal now.
Yeah, this looks. I believe this is going to be
there. It
attack.
is.
Yep, that's it. John Kassari.
2 games to 1. Very impressive that third game.
A good comeback. I mean, moves on to 5-0. I mean, I did not think this was a game he'd be able to win. First of all, I didn't think it was a match he'd be able to win. But game 3 on the draw without a 1 draw.